why is church good for us? So that's an excellent question. I would argue that there are three things that we get out of the Mass. Two are human and also kind of secondary, and then one is a spiritual. So the first sort of human thing that we get out of the Mass, the good that we receive, is a sense of community. I mean, Christ has established us as a community. He recognizes that as humans, we are communal beings. As Aristotle pointed out, we belong to the polis. We're part of the city. We have this intimate desire for union. And so the church does give us that. I've known many people when they go to a new town or they enter into like some new moment of their life, they'll go to the church and find immediate community. They find people that think as they think, that know when to stand, sit, and kneel. They have this sense of belonging that immediately accompanies just entering into a church. And so if you go to France or you go to Mexico or you go to Bolivia, you will have this thing that unites us as Catholics. So that's the first good. The second good would be the sort of renewal that is brought about, a sort of quiet retreat from the world, at least for a bit of time. Now, Christ, again, recognizes who we are. And so we see Christ go and tell to his apostles to come away for a little while, to retreat from the world. That actually kind of is what the church is. The word that we translate as church originally in Greek was ekklesia, literally meaning those who have been called out, literally called out from the world. And so Christ gives us this moment to escape from this constant rat race, this constant motion, constant doing one thing or the next, to enter into this moment of peace, to enter into this moment of rest. And so there is a sort of spiritual renewal that is brought about there. But the third, and I think the most important thing in Mass, because even if we go to a Mass and we don't understand the language and we don't have any sort of communion, or we go to Mass and our mind is just constantly at work, it's constantly doing things, we never actually get out of the world, even if we don't have those two things, we still have this moment in which we encounter Jesus. This, I think, is the most important and the fundamental good that we get out of Mass. Because in our encounter with Jesus, in our moment of communion, when we receive the blessed body of Christ, when we enter into this prayer in which we unite ourselves with Christ and offer ourselves to the Father in union with this one sacrifice of Christ, we are taking on the mind, the eyes, the mouth, the heart of Christ. We begin to think as Christ thinks. We see the world as Christ sees it. We preach as Christ did it, and we love as Christ loves. This idea that we are taking on Jesus, we're putting on the new man, to use the words of St. Paul, I think is incredibly important, incredibly good for us as people that we get out of the Mass. So I would say those three things are three good things that we get out of going to church. A sense of community, a sense of retreat and withdrawal and spiritual renewal, but most importantly, we become alter Christus, we become another Christ in the world.